What's up everybody, Couch Mills here, coming at you with a brand new Valorant video. And in this video, we need to talk about a lot of things, including Champions Istanbul, changes to how you might get banned and potential rewards down the line, and fracture changes. The map is going to get changed in some interesting ways. So we're gonna break it down and talk about it, but the GameLeap website is the best place to pop off dominate with tips, tricks, guides, and everything that you really need to climb, including high quality content you won't find anywhere else that breaks down the decision making and everything you need to do in order to improve very quickly and become a top level player. So if you want to climb, do yourself a favor, go check it out right now down below. Now the first thing that we need to talk about is Valorant Champions Istanbul. This is the last big major event before franchising, and you're gonna wanna watch. Remember, no matter what region you're in, you have a lot of representation here, and it's more than likely that your region is being represented at a global stage against some of the best players in the world. We have 3 teams from NA, multiple teams from EU, there's teams from Asian countries, there's teams from Latin America. I mean, it's gonna be freaking awesome, and it's starting September 1st. So make sure you tune in and don't miss out. But from a player point of view, we get to see a lot of really interesting things. We get to see exactly how the meta will change. Remember, big changes to Chamber, new addition of Pearl as a map. There's a lot of things that could actually affect pick rate. There's a lot of strategies that we could learn watching pros play, and pros have been sandbagging a lot of their changes for quite some time, and we haven't had a big event to really show off the full range of changes. So at the very least, watching it is gonna give you an interesting perspective. Of course, on this channel, we could do some breakdowns of some of the games. You just gotta let me know which one you want to break down or if you're interested in at all. Next up, we have an article by Riot talking about the player dynamics. And this is an update about the player dynamics, basically talking about banning people, talking about toxicity in the game, and things they're going to implement in order to address it. The first thing they need to talk about is the fact that there were slightly under 3 billion reports that came in across 2021 across the Riot titles, and while not all of those are Valorant, you gotta understand that Riot themselves cannot look through every freaking report, and so for a lot of this, they have to automate some things. They have to put in some automated solutions. Otherwise, as I said in the article, they would need every single Riot employee to spend the entire year doing 6 reports a minute to keep up with that number of reports. It's just not realistic. So they do have to put in some automated systems in place. That being said, there's an interesting statistic they put in here, the 95-5 percentage. That means that across the industry, 95% of people who are disruptive in a game are only disruptive sometimes, and for these people, warnings and light penalties are usually enough to prevent them from reoffending. But that last 5% are consistently and intentionally disruptive, and they have zero tolerance for those people, and they typically try to ban them or things like that. So realistically, if you only get a certain amount of reports, you are going to be in that automation camp, and you might get a slap on the wrist based on meeting a certain quota. But if you're someone who gets consistent reports, or you get flagged on some of the things that you might be saying in the mic or typing, then, you know, a Riot employee could come in and just ban you outright. So definitely keep that in mind for those of you who are toxic motherfuckers. Now remember, they haven't quite developed the voice evaluation where they could literally monitor like people talking in chat. They're working on that right now, and that was a little bit controversial, but overall, a lot of people like the idea to be able to keep other people in check. You tell me how you feel about it, but it's still in development right now. But the most interesting thing about this article is the fact that they are actually going to start implementing something that will reward players for a positive gaming experience and not just disrupt the negative ones. They haven't quite announced what this is, but they're working on a new framework in collaboration with other major game developers that is going to somehow reward players for actually being positive, you know, gamers in the community, someone who actually plays and isn't toxic, doesn't have any strikes and things like that. I don't know exactly what that would mean. I don't know if that's like some sort of cosmetic system that you get like skins or rewards for being someone that has no, you know, negative markings or anything like that, or no overly toxic things that got you banned. But with the collaboration with the major game devs, I could only speculate what that could mean, something outside of the game that would get gamers to collectively want to be less toxic. I have no idea. Let me know what you think about all that. That's definitely interesting to say the least. Last up, we do got to talk about fracture changes and fracture insight from a map developer at Riot Games. So we're gonna just play the TikTok and then we're gonna talk about it afterwards. Roll it.
Hi, I'm Joe Lansford, aka Pearl Hog Bash, the maps and modes design lead on Valorant. So everything in our maps begins with a gameplay goal. And for Fracture, we really wanted to kind of flip neutral space on its head. Like, what does neutral space actually mean? Neutral space is the territory between each team's half of a map. So attackers kind of own their attacker spawn area, defenders own the sites and that kind of half of the map. And then there's generally the space in between that's sort of nebulous. Generally, the onus is on the attackers. With Fracture, we thought, well, defenders are sort of getting pinched from both sides. You can sit there and kind of try to weather the storm and hold out, but it's tough to do. So we sort of put that pressure actually on defenders. The responsibility is really on them to kind of push out and take space. So they can either flank on attackers or take that space and then hold it for retakes. So really we kind of, again, flip the idea on its head of like, who's neutral space really for? So Fracture's been out for a year now. We're working on a couple changes right now. I'm not gonna spoil too much, but the high level theme is some general quality of life changes across the map and hopefully make A site a little more defensible, maybe some changes around dish to make that area a little more usable for both teams, attack and defense. So look out for that soon.
So we're gonna be getting some A site changes and some dish changes, and it's really important how they lay out how there are two ways typically that you could think to play a map, right? You can hold the point and try to maintain that space, or on Fracture in particular, because you're being sandwiched and you have to kind of endure, he's saying that you typically, and this is the proper way to play these maps oftentimes, is you go out and you challenge aggressively as a defender and you take space. Let's say you're on A, instead of just sitting on A and, you know, turtling on A, you go out and you push out dish, you go out and push out main, and you take that space, you take the fight to the enemy, you make them use the utility early, or you go take that space for a potential retake on the other site or retake on your site, whatever the case may be. But he wants to give players more options. He's saying he's going to change a little bit about A to make it easier to defend. So if you are going to be someone that defends A little bit more powerful to hold there. And then on top of that, changing dish altogether. I always thought that dish kind of felt a little awkward, I'm not going to lie. So I'm interested in how they're going to change it. But all in all, I do really love Fracture as a conceptual map. I've had my problems with the map in the past, but it definitely is a map that took a lot of getting used to, and I think that a lot of players still don't know how to play it properly, but it is a map that is very Valorant unique, and I like how they went outside of the box with something that actually worked, and of course, there's more changes to come. But actually, I'm really curious, what is your favorite and least favorite map? I really want to know down below. I think a lot of people hate Fracture. There's some people that love it, but universally, the most liked map is typically Ascent, but there's a lot of good ones. I really want to hear your least and most favorite. But the GameLeap website is the absolute best way to dominate and climb. Tips, tricks, guides over every single agent and every single map and every single weapon. If you really want to dominate and learn the intricacies of all that you can about Valorant and become an absolutely giga brain player, do yourself a favor, go check it out in the links right now down below.